Hi, I'm John, and welcome back to Dice Paper Miniatures. In this episode, I kick off a new series I'm working on that's featuring each of the 18 legions that players can play in the upcoming Warhammer the Horus Heresy. Now, the framework I'm using for this series is basically looking at what the Warhammer community is presenting in each of these 18 articles. The lore, the general look and feel of the legion, and of course, its rule mechanics that they're willing to tease at this point. And then maybe down the road, I might have a follow-up as to how accurate I think that these articles presented each of the individual legions. But that would be a series for another time. All right, so again, that's the premises or framework for this series. I'm really excited to get started. And in this particular episode, I'm going to be featuring the Iron Warriors. All right, can't wait to get started, so let's begin. So back at it with the Legions of the Horus Heresy. And as I mentioned, this is one for the Iron Warriors. All right, so to start off with, the deeds of legends are built upon the backs of the hard-working masses, and no one knows this as well as the Iron Warriors. While vainglorious fools prance and preen, I wonder who those could be. The real heroes stiffen their upper lips and get to work remaking the galaxy. Someone needs to do the dirty work, and the 4th Legion knows that only they can stand the heat. Okay, not prideful at all. I do dig that art. Historically, I have liked the looks of the Iron Warriors, but mostly from the 40K perspective. I haven't really paid, honestly, too much attention to them within the 30K Horus Heresy setting, but it's very cool still. All right, so while the 1st Legion were awarded the Emperor's Gold Stars for winning trivial battles against techno-barbarian pushovers, oh man, no bias there in that line, the Iron Warriors had to hone their craft on the coal face of war. Thankless sieges, grinding offenses, and oppressive garrison duty, never ones to take sick days or ask for a raise. Oof, feel like this Legion might be my spirit animal. The 4th Legion did what needed to be done with the kind of stoic acceptance all Space Marines should aspire to. Oh yeah. Like their Primarch, the Iron Warriors were engineers as well as warriors, and excelled in the study of cunning mechanisms and architecture. A shame they were only ever called upon to blow them up. It takes a keen appreciation of the builder's craft to know exactly where to swing the hammer. Insert line from The Office here. And as the blue-collar workers of the Legiones Astartes, the Iron Warriors were always ready to demolish construction that wasn't up to code. I'm not sure how I'm digging this color scheme on the Iron Warriors, though. I feel like it's missing those hazard stripes. Other than that, it works pretty good. The rules. As you might imagine, bringing down hard targets is the Iron Warriors' forte in the new edition of Warhammer, the Horus Heresy. Blowing apart anything from a dreadnought to a fully manned fortress is second nature to these battle-worn engineers, and given the raft of fancy new plastic vehicles, they'll have plenty of ways to show off their innovative on-field scrappage scheme of rack and ruin. All right, well, let's see what rack and ruin has to say. When a model with this special rule makes a shooting attack or melee attack targeting a model with the dreadnought automata, vehicle, or building unit type, it gains a +1 to the strength of that attack. That's pretty cool. I'm not going to lie. That's pretty cool, but in all fairness, it sounds like there's going to be a lot of just tactical units, right, on the field. I don't know how many vehicle types or dreadnoughts will be out there. It'll have a target at some point in the game for sure, but I think there's going to be a lot more units, I think. But overall, it has value for sure. Okay. Though their expertise lies with big, boxy targets, the 4th Legion also need to wade through throngs of meat bags to raise the flag of victory. Luckily, the finest minds of Olympia have devised Olympian shrapnel weapons, a form of bolt around that showers its targets with razor-sharp splinters. The Iron Warriors may shrug off pain and confusion, but lesser foes aren't so stoic and tend to waste time screaming and flinching when they get hit with a little extra iron in their diets. Wow. Okay. So they have the shrapnel pistol, shrapnel bolter, and the shrapnel cannon. And everything has pinning. Okay. Wow, from a strategic standpoint, that could be really debilitating, like literally and figuratively. These shrapnel rounds can be loaded into almost any bolter or bolt pistol or heavy bolter in your army. There's nothing quite like whizzing sounds of metal to keep your opponent's head down and give them a fresh new set of surprise piercings. Oh, man. Oh, I have my heart pretty much set on one legion right now I want to play. But if I were to do a secondary legion, granted, I've only covered 3 of them so far, it would be tempting to roll this one for sure. And I do like this model for their Primarch. So Perturabo and his homeworld is Olympia. Yeah, this model's been around for a while like most of the Primarch models, but I've always thought this was a really sweet, girthy looking model. It's really cool. I like how they included or integrated, I should say, the hazard like hash lines within the metalwork of his loincloth. That's kind of cool how they pull that off. And even like the, I don't know, the tassels that come off his pauldrons on his shoulders. I think there's another name for those, but you know, I'm just not that sophisticated. What can I say? And it goes on. How many legions can claim their Primarch was a champion rock climber at just 1 year of age? Only one, and it's the Iron Warriors. After ascending a mountain, Perturabo was adopted by one of Olympia's rulers and raised on the cold diet of war and intrigue that raged between its rival courts. By all accounts, he was a straight-A student, and though his new family tried to sway him through cunning ploys, like being nice and friendly, he saw through them all. It wasn't paranoia. Who told you he was paranoid? Perturabo is a man of science and logic who runs his legion like a great impersonal machine of war with soldiers for gears and artillery for pistons. Sounds very personable, for sure. While other Primarchs fight pointless duels over imagined slights, the master of the 4th Legion channels his fury over entirely real slights into meticulously planned conquests, ensuring every victory is a mathematical inevitability. If Ferrus Manus had given his own battle plans even a fraction of the thought, Perturabo wouldn't be walking around with the Gorgon's hammer as a trophy. Decades of thankless, backbreaking warfare left the Iron Warriors stretched across the galaxy, the overlooked workhorse of the Crusade. Perturabo's egalitarian recruitment policy swelled the 4th Legion's ranks massively. To him, all Marines were equally expendable grist for the mill. Oh man, but even that couldn't keep up with the demands placed on his troops. Over time, the Lord of Iron began to consider whether he was really being compensated properly for his labor, compared to, say, a certain legion of yellow-clad layabouts. Shots fired. Once he came around to Horus's view on the matter, the Iron Warriors continued to do what they always did, get the job done, starting with their annihilation of the Loyalist lapdogs during the Drop Site Massacre. Tasked with clobbering the obstinate salamanders, man of the people, okay, Perturabo knew that throwing his troops into the meat grinder would be wasteful. Instead, he simply lobbed nukes at the... oh, shit. Instead, he simply lobbed nukes at the 18th Legion until the ground under their feet glowed. Holy balls, man. Thorough, his job well done, the Primarch moved onto the Solar War, where he almost single-handedly captured Uranus. Oh, man. I feel like Necromunda should have been his homeworld with all those hash marks or details on his armor. Anyways, once the Sol system was secure, the Breaker joined in with the Siege of Terra, taking pleasure in pointing out exactly where Rogel Dorn had gone wrong with the Imperial Palace. Always the stubbornest part of any battle line, Perturabo only quit the field once his so-called allies squandered their big chance for victory, rightfully preserving his own troops rather than sacrificing them on the pyre of Horus's failed ambition. The death of the War Master wasn't the end of Perturabo's rebellion. Always the planner, he'd already built his own empire of iron and withdrew his forces there to await the servants of the Emperor. Perturabo's dedication to duty spared neither man nor planet. He even refused to show lenience when his own homeworld of Olympia fell under suspicion. The Breaker returns home in Perturabo, the Hammer of Olympia, which is a great place to look deeper into the complex mind of the 4th Legion's Primarch. There you go. Angel Exterminatus, with a rather less pragmatic soul, his brother Fulgrim, as the two seek out powerful Xenos weapons that could change the course of the Horus Heresy. The Iron Warriors do so love tanks, and Talarn has them in spades, the biggest tank battles in human history, in fact. What else can you expect when Perturabo virus bombs an aggro world into a toxic desert? Any survivors pretty much have to roll up the windows before rolling into battle. And this is kind of funny. It says, we've also prepared a video showing you how to paint Horus Heresy Iron Warriors. Don't forget the hazard stripes. Sorry, man. But someone should have told Greg Dan. He didn't get the memo. No hazard stripes, dude. Otherwise, great looking models. Sorry, that's just funny because that is like their main feature, and there's just no hazard stripes. Well, all right. Are you feeling this Legion? Do you think the Iron Warriors are for you? I can understand why some people might find their color scheme not for them. It's a little, on one hand, kind of generic, but I think once you dial in those hazard stripes and you get some weathering on that metal, it looks really cool, I think. In a lot of ways, I do think they're kind of new player friendly, at least from what we're seeing here, right? Just based on the article. This Rack and Ruin is not a complicated rule set for new players, and the ability to have kind of some unique weapons, and there's the stats right there. I think the barrier to entry for a new player with this Legion is pretty low, so I don't think the floor is real low on this. The ceiling's probably not necessarily really high either. It's probably definitely a new player-friendly Legion to play, is my initial impressions. That could all change based on what are some of the other rule sets we get with the Legion, but we won't know those for sure until we get those Legion-specific books that come out when the game is launched here in a couple weeks. But that's all I have for this one. If you enjoyed this content, please consider subscribing, hitting that notification bell, and sharing this content with your friends. It really does help with the growth of the channel, and it's greatly appreciated. And as I've mentioned in some of the previous Legion videos, I do have other videos already out and coming out, specifically kind of reviewing these Legion articles in preparation for the upcoming Horus Heresy, and to help new players especially kind of figure out maybe some of the pros and cons, whether it's if they're a narrative player, maybe the lore is not quite right for them, or it's great for them. You know, the paint scheme, the iconography, where does that fall within their own personal preferences? And then the complexity of some of the rules that were previewed here. Is it newer player friendly, or is it more for an existing like skilled player that can really benefit from the nuance of some of these very specific corner case rules that are presented in some of these Legions? Well, okay, that's it. But again, keep an eye out for those other videos. And as always, I hope you're doing well. Be safe, take care, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye-bye.